We all have one thing in common: we want peace.
Un accord, nous voulons la paix.
That's what unites
C'est
us.
ce qui nous unit.
We have agreed on several points that are important and that were not as clear, I must say, a few days or weeks ago. The first, and for me the most important, is the US commitment to work with us on security guarantees. President Trump believes in his ability to reach an agreement, and he also believes that President Putin wants such a peace agreement. And I welcome that, and I want to believe it after the meetings they have had. But if this process is rejected, we all agree that sanctions will have to be increased, and, in any case, we will have to take a stance that puts more pressure on the Russian side to return to the negotiating table. We are starting from a situation where neither Ukraine nor Europe were at the table, the meeting, the summit in Anchorage, in Alaska. There is now a willingness to discuss the underlying issues. There hasn't been a Russian-Ukrainian meeting since the Istanbul meetings in spring 2022. So this is a step forward, and I cannot predict the outcomes. Do I think it will be conclusive? I remain very cautious. I said earlier in the office to President Trump, when we spoke again afterwards, several of us told him, "You were speaking to President Putin and he was bombing Ukraine." So first of all, this shows the need to stop the massacres, the need for a truce, and it also shows that at some point the facts reveal the intentions. Today, Russia, in fact, is continuing the war, intensifying it, waging war against Ukrainian civilians as well. And it is giving no sign of sincerely in wanting peace. And based on our experience over the last 15 years with Putin, President Putin's approach is that whenever he can win through war, whenever he thinks he can win through war, he does not negotiate peace. You have an American president, European presidents, and a Ukrainian president who want peace. Personally, I have serious doubts about the reality of a desire for peace on the part of the Russian president, because as long as he thinks he can win through war, he will do so. And his ultimate goal is to take as much territory as possible, to weaken Ukraine, and to have a Ukraine that is not viable on its own or within the Russian sphere of influence. This is pretty obvious to everyone. And so our goal is simple: to achieve peace as quickly as possible, to ensure that international law and Ukrainian sovereignty is respected, to have as little territorial loss for Ukraine as possible, and above all to help Ukraine resist any new aggression, to have a Ukraine that has chosen Europe, to be able to continue to choose Europe freely, and to guarantee the security of Europeans. That the United States do the most possible, because that's what will allow us to alleviate the burden on Europe, and that the United States also confirms its commitment, because that was a big question mark.